much for being here today. I wanted to share with y'all some of my favorite weight loss tips. So, if you see my workout videos, you may not know that I'm 40 years old and I have been pregnant numerous times, 5 times. I have three beautiful children here on the earth with me, and I have three in heaven. So, my fifth pregnancy, I had multiples and I lost one, and I have my beautiful baby boy here now with me. So, I very much know what it's like to have the ups and downs of pregnancy, the hormones, the weight loss, the weight gain, all of it. And each pregnancy can be so different. And I've been through very different pregnancies. Every one of my pregnancies was very, very different, especially the miscarriages. Those were really, really difficult because I was still dealing with weight loss and hormonal balancing and all of those awful emotions, too, of losing my child. So, I have been there and I definitely understand how traumatic all of these things can be and how difficult it can be a mom and be taking care of our kids and taking care of our home and our spouse and having a career and just having so many things to deal with, but really wanting to get in the best shape that we can. For some of us, it's just that we want to be a particular size and we want to feel comfortable and sexy. For some of us, it's that we want to have better energy, to be able to keep up with our kids because goodness knows they've got a lot of that energy. So here's my number one weight loss tip is you first got to define the reason why you're wanting to lose weight. If it's a health concern, are you like me? I'm wanting to show more muscle definition. I'm not actually wanting to lose weight, but I'm wanting to lose fat while gaining muscle. So the scale is not going up and down. The muscle is increasing while the fat is decreasing. At one time in my life, I just really wanted to be thin. And so that was my weight loss goal. It wasn't about gaining muscle. So when you can finally put down on paper, hey, this is exactly why I'm wanting to lose the weight, I think it can be easier to set out on that journey and have a little bit more of an idea of what it is that you're set out to do. Whereas if you're just wanting to lose weight in a vague way, you don't really have the tools that you need to figure out how to do that. And I think that we all have yo-yo dieted and tried supplements, and there are plenty that work in the short term, but in the long run they don't have really good lasting effects. Just like some of the old ephedra type of supplements way back when, if you remember. Some of you may be way too young to even know what I'm talking about. um, but yeah, they absolutely worked, and I think they made a lot of people kind of crazy. But obviously, at least here where we live, they're not illegal anymore. Um, but they dropped people's weight just significantly and very quickly. But it wasn't something that was long lasting, and people were not actually achieving like health goals. They were achieving weight loss, but that's not the same as being healthy. And so if it's that you've got an illness that you're trying to conquer, or you're just trying to get more energy, really define what that thing is that you want to achieve through your weight loss. So then you can go about figuring out how you're going to get to that goal. And I think that my second tip is you've really got to value yourself and value who you are inside much more than the body that we're in, and know that you are so wonderful and you are so strong, and to love yourself. Because if you're coming from a place of hating your body, and I've been there, I've absolutely been there, it's not healthy and you're not going to have long lasting results, and you may get into binging and really depriving yourself. And when we get into those unhealthy habits again, it's not going to be long lasting, and they can just take you down a really, really bad path. And here's Mr. Sasha trying to tear down my camera. So let's really focus on increasing our self-love and positive energy through a weight loss experience, and really loving who we are. And so the things that we do for ourselves can be self-love, and not some of the things where we deprive ourselves out of really frustration and disliking ourselves. So let me look at my list real quick. If you are wanting to go for, like me, I'm on a different path because I'm wanting to show more muscle definition. So I'm not actually trying to tip the scale up or down. What I am trying to do is increase my protein so that my muscle is stronger and more of it on my body, but my fat is lower so that the definition is more obvious. So that's really different than where I was a number of years ago. Before, I was not very concerned with that. I was just wanted to lose some of the fat from having, babies. So in that case, I was just wanting to get back into some genes that I really loved. And there's nothing wrong with that. So the thing that I found in that type of scenario that worked really well for me was fasting, intermittent fasting. And I will preface this, there are a lot of people that it just doesn't work for. If intermittent fasting, if you try it and it makes you feel horrible, don't do it. Again, there's that self love. If it's something that's not going to work for you and make you feel good, don't do it. But for me, intermittent fasting worked well for my entire system. It helped me balance my hormones, it helped me feel good. I just knew that in the morning time, I won't go into a long history, but in the morning, my hormones were very high. My stomach was very upset pretty much on a daily basis. And so if I just had coffee and occasionally like a little bit of toast or something to calm my stomach, but generally just black coffee, I felt great. And I didn't need to eat until 3 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Other people who intermittent fast may eat from 8 a.m., 6 a.m. until 1 p.m. or 3 p.m., and they're not going to be eating in the evening. I was quite the opposite. And I think for the broad scenario of people, it's going to be eating from the morning through the afternoon and skipping like a late dinner snack and bedtime snack. So, intermittent fasting really allows your body to have time to digest, process, because those take so much energy from our body when we're constantly filling our body full of food. For some of us, we do need to have a constant amount of food put into us, but if we're trying to lose weight, that can also really backfire on us. So I encourage you to research intermittent fasting if you've never looked into it. There are so many ways to do it. You can do it just a couple of days a week. You do not have to do it every single day. It can be something that works for you. The next one that I think works really, really well, sorry, Sasha is trying to get me, is eating more protein. I'm sure you've all heard this numerous times. Eating more protein, it fills your belly up. So if you have, more chicken or more yogurt or more cheese, whatever it is, you feel more satiated and you're less likely to snack. And so unless you're overindulging, you're probably going to lose weight because when we cut out all that snacking, we're in a much better place. Okay, so really getting real with yourself about what you're eating. I don't think that depriving ourselves of things that we love is good at all. I think that we will then swing to the other side and just start engorging ourselves with all kinds of stuff that we don't want to eat. So I think if you really start to read labels and really acknowledge that there are a lot of things that are packed full of sugars, and start to try to have less of those things. If you're a pop drinker, a soda drinker, Coca-Cola drinker, whatever you want to call it, you got to get real on that, okay? Like, there's just no way around that. And I don't think that all these substitutes are at all good for us. I just don't. But I hear so many people say, "Oh, we don't do sugar. Yeah, we're real careful. We don't do that." And then I see them like drinking an iced tea full of sugar. Like it says on the bottle, like, 58 grams of sugar. And I'm like, "You don't drink sugar?" Or they'll be like, you know, "I definitely don't do that. I'm so careful. See, I'm drinking, whatever superfood drink, and then you look at it and it's got double the sugar of what a soda has in it. And I've been there. I've totally been that person that was like, well, I bought it at the natural food store, so it's got to be good for me. So I think when you really get real and start to look at the amount of sugar in the cereals, the breads, all the different stuff, you might start to think, okay, well, maybe I'll have a little bit, but not as much, right? And so we're not depriving ourselves, but we are lowering the amount. And if you're increasing the amount of protein and good foods that you're having, you're probably going to want less of those other types of sweet treats. I know when I have deprived myself, I completely am like, oh my gosh, I just really, really want all these sweet things. But when I've really nourished myself with having good foods, I'm much less likely to fall off the wagon and just start going crazy, on a bag of cookies or something like that. And there's always those particular times where we're going to overindulge, and that's okay. And for me, when I'm trying to be careful about my weight, I think that always recognizing that there are certain times where we are going to indulge and have a good time, and set those times aside and allow ourselves to have a good time in those places. Maybe it's a birthday party, a family get together, a date night, whatever it is, and allow yourself to know, like, hey, right now I'm going to enjoy myself and I'm not going to worry about it. But tomorrow I'm going to, take care of myself, and I'm not going to continue overindulging. So, I might go to a birthday party or a family get together, and I might have all the cookies that I want to have, or all the donuts I want to have, whatever it is. I went to a shower not too long ago, and believe me, I had whatever I wanted to have, and they had lots of good stuff. But I didn't continue that on, and I made sure that, the rest of the day I had eaten really healthy. So keep all of that in mind. Don't deprive yourself, but on the other hand, get really aware of what you're eating. One other silly example is I bought some corn really recently. I think I even wrote this in my book. And I flipped the corn over just randomly. I don't even know why. And what should be in a can of corn? Like water and corn, right? No, there was added sugar, like a lot of added sugar. So like, if you're not aware of what you're putting into your body, and I am constantly shocked, and I've been super aware of this now for over 7 years. I've been reading labels. And also, this is the other one that gets me every time, is products will change what they're putting into them. Sometimes for the better, but usually it seems like it goes for the worse. So I'll be buying something, totally think it's great, and a year later I stop to look at the ingredients. I'm like, that's not what was in it when I initially started buying this. So just be aware, and when you start to really see what you're putting into your body, you can start to see the results of either cutting back on that particular thing, or if you don't need to and you know that it's good for you, then great. So my very last one is about activity levels. If no matter what you're doing, having a real sense of how much activity you're getting throughout your day is super duper important. I'm sorry, Sasha is over here being super loud. My 3-year-old is over there being super quiet, but not Mr. Kitty. So I used to think, because I busted my butt going up and down the stairs, doing the laundry, cleaning the house. I worked from home, taking care of the kids, because at that time I was homeschooling. I mean, I'd be like drenched with sweat by the end of the day. I made all of our meals at home. I thought for sure, and I was also the person that always went inside the grocery store. I didn't do pickup orders because I wanted the exercise of going all through the store and wrangling kids all the time, because I wanted that extra energy. And all of that is great, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I thought I was getting a great amount of activity level. And my husband stopped wearing his Apple Watch, and so I started wearing it. And I was really, really shocked at how little activity. I would look at the rings at the end of the day, and like, there was so little activity. So I really had to focus on increasing what I was doing to get those extra steps in throughout the day and to begin to actually close my rings throughout the day. So again, it was just about knowledge. I thought one thing and the other was really the case. So, and I'm a super high energy person. I'm always moving, always going. Sitting down and watching a movie for me anytime during the day like isn't gonna happen. I just can't sit still. So if I'm that way and I wasn't closing my rings and I wasn't able to get to a level of activity that would actually be burning more calories than I was taking in. Well, there's a lot of people out there that are not mobile as much as I am because they are hurting, or they've got a lot of extra weight on, or they've got a health condition, or if you're a new parent, you may be sitting down a lot. I've been through that too because you're holding baby all the time, especially like my babies never wanted to be set down like for the first 2 years. So I had to deal with that too. Like, okay, you're going to come with me where I'm going to do everything one-handed. So laundry looked horrible, how I would fold everything. But when you can get realistic, then you can start to say, okay, what am I going to do to increase my level of activity to match the amount of food that I'm putting into my body? So at that point, you can say, hey, here's what I'm eating, here's all of the activity that I'm getting, and if these aren't kind of lining up, your weight's going to continue to go up, right? But if you're making sure that your activity levels are going up and that you're not overindulging on things that you don't want to be having you gain more weight, then you're going to lose weight over time. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but over time you will lose weight. And so that's really exciting. And you'll get more energy too, because when we're getting up and moving around, our entire body is going to eventually start to gain more energy. And I always liken it to a wind-up watch. My watch, if I leave it there on the dresser, it just dies. But the minute that I pick it up and I put it on and I'm wearing it, it's moving and it's winding and it's going and it doesn't ever slow down. So it's winding itself up. And I think that our bodies are like that as well. As long as we're purposefully and intentfully getting up and moving ourselves, our minds are more active, our bodies, our metabolism, our blood circulation, everything is going to be more active. And yes, there are absolutely times where we have just got to rest. There's no doubt about it. There are times that anybody needs to rest, or if we're just having an injury or an illness or just having a baby, we've got to rest and allow our bodies to recuperate. And I know that can be so difficult to do. So again, if you are trying to lose weight, that is one of my hugest tips, is really get real with yourself about what your activity levels are so that you can say, what do I need to do to balance out what I'm eating with what I'm actually doing throughout my day. So guys, I hope these weight loss tips help you. I've got lots more of them, but I hope you all will.